So there have been moments in time when things happened and people didn't expect the outcome that took place. Maybe you're familiar with that in your own life. That you thought something was going to happen, you went into it, and something completely different happened. Like, the shootout at the OK Corral wasn't supposed to happen. That was just one of those situations where everybody was in the right place at the wrong time, right? And it just somebody started that event. The amount of devastation that happened in Japan when they dropped the atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was much more than anyone ever expected. I mean, they knew it was going to be devastating. They just didn't know it was going to be that devastating, right? Jesse Owens, 1936 Olympics in Germany, never thought that that was going to be the outcome. Never thought that that was what was going to happen. Never thought that it would spark and stir what would eventually become World War II. And it would identify the hatred that existed in the world between white folk and black folk. Heavens, Jesse Owens. What a hero, right? And then there's the wardrobe malfunction of 2004 at the Super Bowl. Come on. Like, nobody saw that one coming? I mean, nobody went into those events thinking that this is all going to turn out bad, right? Nobody went into thinking that the results are going to be crazy. Nobody went into thinking, like, okay, if we do this, here's what could happen. Because, even the best laid plans of mice and men, right? The things that we try to do. Well, the same thing happened 2,000 years ago when Jesus rode into Jerusalem. This is Palm Sunday. And so Jesus comes riding into Jerusalem. It's something he purposefully meant to do, that he had planned on doing. His disciples tried to pull him back on it, and they couldn't. They could not get him off of this route, this determined thing that he needed to do, and only he knew how this was going to turn out. He knew how Palm Sunday was going to turn out. He knew how the week following Palm Sunday was going to turn out. Now, of course, back then they didn't call it Palm Sunday, right? They only call it Palm Sunday much later, but he knows how this week is going to turn out. The disciples, they know it may not go well. They just don't know how badly it's going to turn out, except for one guy named Thomas. Thomas is the one who gets a bad rap. They call him Doubting Thomas. You've heard that, right? When Jesus says he wants to go to Jerusalem, all the disciples try to talk him out of it, right? And Thomas is the only one who says, you know what? If he's going, let's go and let's die with him, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to kill him when we get there. So if that's going to be the case, let's go and die. Like, wow, that's crazy, right? That's Thomas. Thomas says that. And he knows that when Jesus walks into that city, Thomas knows this, Jesus knows this, that it's going to get crazy. And everyone thought that somehow Jesus was going to take over the city, that miraculously he would kick out the Roman government and take over and reestablish Israel as a nation. I mean, after all the stories of all of his miracles, they were everywhere. As a matter of fact, he had just done a miraculous event. He took Lazarus from the grave, who had been dead for 4 days, and brought him back to life. Relatively new happening as Jesus is getting ready to march into Jerusalem, right? And after all these stories of miracles everywhere, people were like, you know what? If he can bring dead people back, if he can make blind people see and deaf people hear and lame people walk, if he can do all these things, then maybe, just maybe, he can take over and do the thing we've all been hoping, all been praying, all been looking to see what could happen. That he could generate enough food to feed thousands and thousands of people out of thin air. If he can do all of these things, he can take over the city of Jerusalem. We'll put him in charge. We'll sit him in the seat. He can kick out Herod. He can kick out Pontius Pilate. He can kick out all the Roman government. He can let all those Roman soldiers march their way on the Roman road back to Rome. He could do all of that. So why not, right? Let's do this. So when Jesus starts riding into the city of Jerusalem, everybody gets excited, right? Revival breaks out. And people are everywhere. The streets are packed on that day. And they literally recognize who he could possibly be, and so they take palm branches. It says, I'm going to read this in a minute. It says they took palm branches, just break them off of the palm trees and just would lay them down the road, and then they would wave them back and forth. Our modern day version of clubbing with those light wands, Okay, some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, right? All right. There's a few in the room who was like, I've done that. Right before they let out all the bubbles. So the streets are laid with palms and everybody's celebrating, right? It's all crazy. But Jesus has something else in mind. He knows exactly where this week is going to go that the people aren't thinking about. They're just not there. They're just seeing excitement, right? They're seeing the thrill of the moment. They're caught up in this moment that Jesus is bringing into the city. Jesus has something else very different in mind. As a matter of fact, as we walk through our teaching notes, and they're on the one page of that handout, this is the very first one. Jesus often has something very different in mind for us, right? We go into a situation and we think this is the way it's going to turn out, and Jesus is like, no, it's not going to go that way, right? Because he knows all things. He is all things. He directs and guides all things, and so Jesus knows. And that it's just as true today for us as it was 2,000 years ago. As he's marching into that city, people have no idea how this is going to turn out. They have no idea what's coming. But they've gotten excited because this is the first chance, this is the first glimpse of something possible, something new, something completely different, and they could get out from under the Roman thumb that has been on them for a long time. But Jesus has something very, very different in mind. As a matter of fact, it's going to get him in trouble that he doesn't have this in mind, because they want him to dethrone the Roman government in Israel and reestablish the city and nation of Jerusalem and Israel once again. They want him to do that, and it's going to get him in trouble because that's not his priority. It's just not his thing. As a matter of fact, he's friends with Roman soldiers. And so he's going to come into the city, and I want to read for you I'm going to read you John's account of Jesus coming into what the title is called, the Jesus triumphant entry, right? Now, a triumphant entry, that's a pretty normal thing in most worlds. I mean, we all do it. We still see it today. We see people, they go off to war and they come back, or they go off and win the Super Bowl and they come back, right? Cities will shut down for the triumphant return of the winners, right? This is what we do. And so they see Jesus as the winner. He's the one who's won. He's already won. And so he's going to walk back in. No, he's not going to walk. He's going to ride. He's going to ride that huge, white, beautiful stallion, right? No, he's not even going to do that. I'd love to have one of those, by the way. That'd be really cool. Big, white, beautiful horse. No, he's not going to do that. So I'm going to read for you from John chapter 12. If you got a Bible with you, that's great. If you've got a Bible app, open it up. John chapter 12. You can grab the Bible that's in the seat rack underneath the seat in front if you want to. And if you don't have a Bible, take that one home with you. So here's what it says in John chapter 12. I'm going to start reading at verse 12, and I'm going to finish up at verse 19. Here's what it says. The next day, so there's all this stuff that happens. Lazarus is risen from the dead. All these things have been happening, right? Jesus is anointed in Bethany, and he's coming over the hill, down in through the Mount of Olives, in through the city gates of Jerusalem. It says the next day, the news that Jesus was on the way to Jerusalem swept through the city. Swept through the city. Everybody's getting their cell phones out. That's a joke. Gosh. Okay, more coffee for this crowd. Right. Everybody's got their cell phones out. The news swept through the city. You got to see what's going on. A large crowd of Passover visitors. So it's Passover season, right? It's the Jewish Passover. City's full of people, right? A large crowd of Passover visitors took palm branches and went down the road to meet him. And they shouted, "Praise God, blessings on the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hail to the King of Israel." Jesus found a young donkey and rode on it, fulfilling the prophecy that said, "Don't be afraid, people of Jerusalem. Look, your king is coming, riding on a donkey's colt," from Zechariah 9. His disciples didn't understand at the time that this was the fulfillment of the prophecy. But after Jesus entered into his glory, they remembered what had happened and realized that these things had been written about him. Many in the crowd had seen Jesus call Lazarus from the tomb, raising him from the dead, and they were telling others about it. That was the reason so many went out to meet him, because they had heard about this miraculous sign. Then the Pharisees said to each other, "There is nothing we can do. Look, everyone has gone after him." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I'm going to ask you a soul-searching question for just a moment, all right? I know you didn't come to church expecting a soul-searching question. Oh, maybe you did. But I want you to just probe deep just for a moment. I'm going to give you a second to think about this. But here's the question I want to ask you. The question is this: has there ever been something in your life that you would do over again now that you know how it was going to turn out? Is there anything that you would go back and, like, I would redo that. I would tweak it a little. I would step back. I would step in. I would just take a little glance around me just to see what was going on. Is there anything in your life that you would do differently today, knowing full well, if you knew how it was going to turn out before you did it, would you have done it the same way? Would you go back and change it? And a lot of us in the room would probably say, yeah, I got at least one event I would change, right? Maybe it was that night. Or that morning, or maybe it was that decision, or maybe it was that person, whatever it may have been. I think all of us have that one moment, right? Your next teaching note is this: most of us like to think that we have lives with little or no regrets. But the reality is there's probably one thing all of us regret doing or making a decision about. Now, here's what we've done, and here's the healthy thing to do. Hear me, this is the healthy thing to do. We've taken that and said, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be the person I am today, right? Isn't that true? I wouldn't be the person I am today if it weren't for some of the things that I have gone through that have devastated my life, or turned my life, or twisted my life, or tweaked my thought process, or grabbed my heart or my soul, right? So as I scroll back through time and find a moment or an event that happened like you, we all end up coming to this final realization that if it weren't for those moments, right? Would I go back and undo it? Would I go back and do something differently? I don't know, maybe if I had the chance. But I don't know the future, right? I didn't know the future back then. I don't know the future now. I have no idea what the rest of my day is going to look like. And we've all learned that. Sometimes we've learned it the hard way, that we have no idea what the day is going to bring. But the reality is, for all of us, is that the day is going to bring something, and if we decide to take a leap, sometimes we pay the price, especially if we don't look. I know it's impossible to look forward and live completely without regret. I know that. I get that, right? And looking backward provides us a really neat ability. This rear view mirror thing says that I can see where that went off the rails, and that's probably where I'd make my adjustment right there, right? But if it weren't for that, wouldn't be the person I am today. And it may have taken us days or weeks or months or even years to right the ship. Those unforeseen outcomes that trashed us. A relationship that failed. A financial decision that went south. I remember about 4 years ago, I climbed onto a horse that I hadn't checked out first. It was a bad decision, right? A friend of mine had just gotten off the horse and said, here, take mine, you can go for a ride. And I didn't check the cinch, I didn't have my helmet on yet, didn't double check all of the tack and everything. And so I sat on, and this horse decided that as I was getting my helmet on, both hands off of the reins, never a good idea. I am making mistake after mistake after mistake, right? And I get on this horse, and this horse starts moving around, and I have spurs on. And so I tighten up my legs because I feel the horse moving underneath me. It's just the natural response, and guess what I did? I spurred him. I was on the ground before I knew what had happened. It was ugly. And the people who owned the horse said all they heard was, ouch. I broke my arm right in half. Snapped it right in half. And I looked at Julie. Julie was on my horse, our horse. Julie was on our horse, and our daughter was on one of the other horses. And Julie dismounted real quick because I looked at her and said, I think I broke it. I think I broke my arm. She said, maybe you just dislocated your shoulder. I said, I can't move my arm. It won't move. So they wrapped me up. I don't know if they have these leg wraps for horses. They work really well immobilizing an arm. He just wrapped my whole body. He just wrapped me up. It was a series of really, really bad decisions that if I could go back and do it over again, guess what I would do? I wouldn't do those decisions because it took me a long time to recover. I had to live with that decision process for a long time. That's probably one of the more minor things, right? Because there are other decisions that some of us have made that have trashed us, and we're still living with the evidence, and we're still living with the outcome, and here's what's really devastating sometimes. Someone else makes a decision, and we are on the receiving end of their bad decisions. Anybody? The guy who decided to drink a little too much and get behind the wheel, and now one of our loved ones is gone. Jesus marches into Jerusalem, and it sparks a crazy week. Some bad decisions. People are happy, radicals are singing, rebels are plotting. There's this massive revolt in the air. The Roman army is starting to lock down the city. The Jewish elders are starting to have secret meetings. The zealots are gathering swords because they're looking for a fight. They're ready. If he leads the charge, we're going at it. There is going to be an all-out battle in Jerusalem if this guy leads the charge, and here he comes. Here he comes. Jesus, the miracle worker, the one who's been doing all of these amazing things. Man, this week is going to be the week, right? It sparks off this incredible firestorm in the city of Jerusalem. And what no one realizes is that he is going to instead say, bring it down. Bring it down. Has anybody ever done that to you when you didn't want them to do it? Right? Like that's the last thing you need somebody to say, bring it down, calm down. I am not going to calm down, right? I think we've all been there, right? Somebody's like, bring it down. No, this is the time for the heat right now, right? That Jesus is coming into the city. Everybody's excited. Everybody's like wound up. And he's like, bring it down. I am not here to get rid of the Roman army. And they're like, wait, no. You know how long we've been under their thumb? Do you know how long they have been marching through our streets? Do you know how long? Come on, please, for God's sake, do this now. And instead of being victorious, this week is going to end up dark. Because they're going to turn on him. I'm not telling you something you don't already know, right? I'm not giving you the end of the movie, right? It's just going to turn dark. They place all of their hopes on him, and he's going to deflect all of that and say, no, the reason I'm here is to do this, to save you. I'm not here to rescue you from the Romans. I'm here to rescue you from you. From you. Because that's who needs rescued. Each one of us. And for Jesus, that's the plan. Not one he's looking forward to. We hear that when he prays in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? He's not looking forward to this, but it's always been the plan. His life for ours, his death in our place. He knew the moment he entered Jerusalem, he was a dead man walking. And he did it anyway. He did it because of a world filled with people like us who wish they could go back and do things differently and have regrets and sin in our lives. Who wished we all knew how it was going to turn out so we'd have corrected it. But the problem is we don't know that, and we're not perfect, and so we can't know that. And so Jesus comes along as our Savior to carry the weight of everything we carry and to cast our cares on him. The weight he was carrying would be ours. It must have been tremendous. Equal only to the knowledge that when it's all over, the devil will be defeated and everyone will be set free, that he would set us free. That's your next teaching note. The weight he's carrying would set us free. It would be a way to set us free. But here's the thing. like all of us have resigned ourselves to this morning to the reality that if we didn't go through it, we wouldn't be the persons we are today. He resigns himself to the fact that if I don't go through this, the world doesn't have salvation. I can't save the world if I don't give my life. That's his plan. And some of us would look at the plan and go, are you sure this is the plan? I mean, the disciples did that, right? They looked at him and said, are you sure this is the plan? Because if this is the plan, this is one messed up plan. I don't want you to die. I mean, they were his closest followers, his closest friends who love him. I mean, they like him, but they love him. And they're like, it's dude love. And they got it bad for him. They don't want him to die. But if he doesn't go through this, if he doesn't go through the ugly for us, then we don't get the glory with him. And it's going to be ugly because our sin is ugly. It's going to be painful because our mistakes are painful. It's going to be brutal because our disobedience is brutal. But if he did it any other way, it probably wouldn't matter as much. He's got to free us from our sins and the eternal consequences of us making bad decisions. He's got to free us from that. The only way to free us from that is to step into the place where he takes our punishment. He takes our sin. He takes it on himself. It's like, I'll take it. Have you ever had anybody do that? Have you ever had anybody step in your place and take the punishment for you? It's humbling, isn't it? That somebody would be willing to almost lie. No, it wasn't him, it was me. It was me. I did it. And you know they're doing it to take the punishment away from you. And that's what he's doing. He's going to ride into Jerusalem to take the punishment away from us. That's his plan. That's his purpose. And he's going to allow the bigger purpose to be greater than his personal pleasure. His personal pleasure would be to not suffer like this. And here's the thing that I want to challenge you with this morning. He's going to ask each one of us to think about doing that same thing. To take the purpose and make it more important than our own personal pleasure. Personal pleasure ranks pretty high for a lot of us, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Our personal pleasure is the thing that most of us are going after every day. But to put God's purpose over top of or above our own personal pleasure is what Jesus does and is what he calls us to do. And I know that sounds harsh, but if eternity is the reward, then I have to be willing to put his purpose ahead of my pleasure. That's what I have to be willing to do. If eternity is the reward, I want to hold fast to his purpose, and I want to hold loosely to my pleasure. Because sometimes for me to get there, to me to live out his purpose means it's not going to be good and easy and fun. Right? Anybody? So he calls us to doing just that. And during that week, this last week in Jerusalem, he's going to challenge every aspect of thinking for every single person from that moment till today. What's it all about? That's what he's going to ask. He's going to ask, what's it all about? Is it all about just you? Is it all about your pleasure? Is it all about what you can get out of this? Is it all about, is God and faith and religion and what you believe, is it all about just eternal security? Or what we like to call in the church fire insurance? Some of you just got that, right? You just got that. Belief in God is fire insurance, right? Is that what it is? I mean, or is there so very much more? He drags these disciples into Jerusalem with him, and they are going to, like us, they're going to ask questions like, is this really how we're supposed to do this? Am I supposed to surrender everything for your good? Am I supposed to give everything I have so that you can be seen and known? And his answer is, yeah. Well, what about me? Sorry. I created you. I love you. Jesus looks at you square in the face and would tell you nothing less today than you are awesome. That's what he'd tell you. Because he died for you, he can do that. That's what he does. Because he dies for us, he can look at us and say, you are incredible. That's what he does to Jerusalem. He literally stands on a hillside and says, this is such a beautiful city, filled with beautiful people. But he also has something we don't have. He has a vision of the future. He knows that in 70 short years, Jerusalem will fall to the Roman army. They will destroy the city of Jerusalem and sack it completely, and it will lay in ruins for hundreds of years. He knows that. He knows it's coming. He knows that they will not always be faithful. He knows that people will fall in love with him, but turn against him. He knows that people will walk into church on a Sunday. I might step on a toe here. So just curl them back a second, right? He knows that people might walk into church on a Sunday and say, I believe in this stuff, but walk out and Monday morning do things that don't look anything like a Sunday morning. He knows that. He does it anyway. And he asks us to be faithful because of it. He asks us to step in and live faithfully. Because he's more concerned about our faith than he is about our futures. He's much more concerned about our faith than he is what tomorrow might bring. He's got tomorrow. The Bible says, this book tells me that Jesus has tomorrow in the palm of his hand. He's already got tomorrow. He's not worried about tomorrow. He's already got it. I worry about tomorrow, right? Anybody? Ever worry about tomorrow? But Jesus says, I'm not worried about tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to come. Tomorrow's got enough worries of its own. You know what? Let's just worry about where you and I are at today. Where are we at today, you and me? Where's your faith at today? If we give in to this pointless attempt to control our futures, we run the risk of experiencing the amazing results of living by faith that surrendering our future can bring to us. If we surrender our future, we can live by faith and just experience some amazing things in life. Miraculous things, I would say. So let me just say to you that God is calling all of us to purpose and faithfulness, not pleasure and not future. I have a retirement plan. Some of you didn't want to hear that. But every once in a while I sit down with my finance guy and we talk about, do I have enough? And sometimes the answer is yes, and most times the answer is, yeah, you could have retired at 62, and I chose not to do that. But I don't allow that to control my present day situation just because I have a plan. Because here's what I've learned, and here's what all of us have learned. The plan can go south real fast. Right? Plan can go south real fast. When I was in the military, they said every plan is great until 10 seconds into a firefight. When bullets start flying, everything changes. How true that is. So, let me just ask you, as Jesus rides into Jerusalem and he's going to turn everything upside down, will you put your faith and your purpose into his hands today? Like, okay, God, I'm going to do all I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do all the things, I'm going to check the boxes. I'm going to do all the things I'm supposed to do in life. I'm going to do all those purposeful things I know I'm supposed to do as a human being. You've given me the responsibility to do these things. I'm supposed to take care of my family, my future. I'm supposed to do all these things, but I need to understand one thing, and I'm going to hand this over to you. My tomorrow is yours. It's not mine. As a matter of fact, my today is yours. And my everyday is yours. I'm going to hand it over to you. If you've never done that, if you've never just handed it all over to him, today's the day to do that. Today's a really good day to do that. It's a really good day to say, look, I know I can't do this on my own. I can't make this happen. I can't make tomorrow what I would hope it could be. I can't determine the outcome of my decisions. I can't decide strongly enough or make something happen on my own. I can't. We've all tried. And if today you're in that situation or in that position where you just need to hand something over, you've been trying really hard, you've been working the system, you've been trying to figure it out, and today you just need to say, okay, God, you know what? I'm done. It's yours. Maybe that's your entire life. You just need to hand it all over and say, Lord, I'm done. It's all yours. I'm going to give it to you, all in on the table, because I trust you. I trust that you will take my life and make it be something more powerful, more profound, more amazing than I could ever do myself. That you will take every bad decision and make it right and erase my sin, and you will do all the things that I need done in my life that I can't do. I'd love to see done. You will do all of that. So if today's the day you need to make that decision, I just want to encourage you today, don't leave here before you do that. Don't leave this room before you make a decision for Jesus Christ and hand everything over to him today. So right now, I want to ask you, if you want to do that, if you want to make that decision for Jesus, I'm just going to add, let's do this, because people get weird, right? So I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes and bow your head so that you're not watching the person beside you, or you're not watching anybody else in the room. It's just you. It's just you and Jesus. And if you want to give your life to Christ today, if you want to give your future to Christ today, if you want to give today and every single day from here on out over to Jesus, if you want to give that situation, that event, that circumstance, that impossible thing that's out there that's just weighing heavy or is just eating at you, if you want to just give that away to Jesus, I want you to just raise a hand. It can be your right hand, your left hand, you can be both hands. Just go all in and just raise a hand up before Jesus. Say, Lord, I'm just going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you today because I can't do this anymore. It's driving me nuts. It's making me crazy. I can't sleep well at night. I'm taking medicine because of it. Lord, I surrender it to you. My life in every situation, every condition, every aspect, I give it to you. And would you just say this? In Jesus' name. Say it again. In Jesus' name. Amen.